morning and welcome to Begin in the Word. Our text today comes from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10 through 31. We will only read the highlighted sections. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it, and with the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. Skipping on down to the section highlighted in red. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. And then finally to the third section highlighted. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. We've been working through Proverbs chapter 31. We have observed that this proverb is written or recorded the writings or the sayings of King Lemuel's mother. In the first 9 verses, King Lemuel's mother warned him against drink and destructive women. Now she is giving him a teaching regarding the kind of woman he should pursue, the kind of woman he would want to be married to, the kind of woman that would make him a better man. And that is this section typically known as the teaching on the virtuous woman. While it is very instructive as to the virtues of a good woman, we should never lose sight of the fact that this was a mother teaching her son what to look for in a woman, as opposed to looking for a destructive woman. We've also continued to observe every day that the book of Proverbs is a way of finding connectivity in the laws of God. Regarding our subject today, Genesis teaches us that a man should leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they should become one flesh. And what Lemuel's mother is showing us is some of the how-to on how to do that, how a husband and wife function together the way they should, giving us insight and wisdom into the teaching given in the book of Genesis. We've also continuously observed that this particular proverb, Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10 through 31, is an acrostic. Each phrase begins with a progressive letter of the alphabet, and in so doing, it makes it easy to memorize, possibly something that would have been used to teach the alphabet, but also to remember, if you will, the ABCs of the kind of woman that Lemuel should bring into his life. We have also observed that this proverb, chapter 31, verse 10 through 31, is a chiastic, and that is that it works to a central point. We have covered already points A and B, and today we'll be working the C points, and they all point to a middle concept that is the central theme of the proverb. And then it goes in reverse order as it continues to the end of the proverb. And we've covered the A teachings, if you'll allow me to call them that. We've covered the B teachings in yesterday. And today and tomorrow, it'll take 2 days because there's several verses included in this. Today and tomorrow, we're going to cover the section that deals with this virtuous woman being a hard worker. Keeping in mind all the while that all of these virtues that are described of this woman that King Lemuel's mother is pointing him to, all of these truths and these qualities all feed into one central thing that Lemuel needs to know. If you're going to be successful in life, if you're going to be a person that the community looks to and honors, if you're going to be the kind of man that you need to rise to the occasion to be, you can only do this with this kind of woman by your side. It is essentially a reteaching of the concept from Genesis that man and woman becomes one flesh, that they live together with one purpose, and that neither can accomplish the greatest things in life without the other. And so in this chiastic structure really helps us see that. And so as we work through today and tomorrow these sections on the wife working hard, keep in mind that that is intended to be a mirrored aspect of Lemuel's life as well, that he is supposed to be a person that works hard, and therefore he, being a man that works hard, together with a woman that works hard, accomplishes the best outcomes for both of them. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. It should be noted that this collection of text is not just the qualities of a woman that works hard. It's the qualities of anyone that works hard. Young man, young woman, old man, old woman, married man, married woman, unmarried man, unmarried woman, anyone that is out there. This is the work ethic that the book of Proverbs is holding up for us. It happens to be applied in this case to the virtuous woman, the woman that Lemuel's mother wants him to find. But ultimately, it is simply nothing more than the work ethic of Scripture. That's what's being described. And we'll look at half of these today and half tomorrow. The first, she works willing with her hands. And specifically, it's talking about working the wool and the flax. We have before us a photograph here of a woman that is doing something called carding the wool. When you cut the wool off of a sheep, this wool is just a mat or a mass of hairs. What must happen is you have to take this brush-like device and card or comb out this wool, and it's a long and slow process of turning the wool into something that can actually be used to make a garment. It's slow, it's monotonous, it's hard to do, it takes a lot of strength in your hands, it's tiring, and it takes a long time. If you cut all the wool off of a sheep, it might take a couple of days to card that wool out to the point that you now have something that can be used to make a garment. The work is monotonous. It is fair to describe it as boring work. It is mindless work. It is hard work. And it is no mistake that Lemuel's mother says she does it willingly. Work sometimes is unpleasant. Quite often it's unpleasant, and quite often it's monotonous. A person with a good work ethic, whether it's this virtuous woman or anybody else, puts their hand to that work, and they do so willingly. Not complaining, not trying to get out of it, not wishing to be elsewhere. They take this work, they put their hands to this work, and they do this work willingly. That's the first element that we should look for when we look for a person with a strong work ethic. And Lemuel's mother is telling him, this is the kind of woman you will need in your life that will make you a better man. A woman with a strong work ethic that puts her hand to the work and works willingly. The second, she is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She's diverse in what she does. She's not just making any kind of food, but she brings her food from different places. One might say that she brings creativity to her work, and that's the second element of a good work ethic. A good work ethic has a element of creativity to it. She's not just making any food, she's making the best food she can for her family. She's bringing food from all corners of the world. Like the merchant ships that come from every place, she's bringing these things together to make not just food, but the best food that she can. Now, it's not specifically about food that Lemuel's mother is concerned with, but it's rather her overarching work ethic in bringing diversity and creativity to the things that she does. In that influence of creativity and diversity into the home makes a big difference. It makes Lemuel a better man. The third element, she rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. It's a statement of leadership that this woman is the first one out of bed so that she can provide the needs, the food for the household and her maidens. She takes ownership of everybody in the home. She's concerned about everybody in the home. And in so doing, she is the leader in the home, the first one out. We have before us a photograph of a cow wearing a bell. You may have heard of the term cowbell. For many of you, you may think of that as a percussion instrument that might be played in a song. Well, indeed, a cowbell actually served a purpose on the farm. The cow at night, the family farm would wander off into the hills and be difficult to find. In the morning, the farmer or the people in the farm would have to listen for that bell to know where to go find the cow so they could bring it in to milk. As a matter of fact, there's a poem that used to be recited on a radio show back in the earlier part of the 20th century that said at the end of the show, it would repeat these words every time. It'd say, "That's all for now, friends. The grasshoppers hop, the eavesdroppers drop, while gently the old cow slips away." The cow would go off in the night, maybe in the back part of the farm somewhere, and that next morning, somebody had to go find it. The leader on the farm was the one that knew what the bell sounded like. That was a saying. The leader on the farm was the one that knew what the cowbell sounded like because they were the first one up. They were the one to hear the cowbell so they could go get the cow and bring it back. That's what's being said of this mother, this woman that Lemuel's mother is telling him to find. She's the leader because she's the first one to the challenge, the first one to the work. Men and women alike, if you want to be leaders in your home, be the first one out of bed. Be the first one to each task. Lead in that way. She considers a field and buys it with the fruit of her hand. She plants a vineyard. This woman that Lemuel's mother is pointing him to is entrepreneurial. She's the one that takes care of the family business. She takes on a responsible resource management approach as she takes care of the family affairs. In an agricultural world, the men are quite often gone. They're with the herds, they're with the flocks, they're not there. The management of the family farm had to be done by the mother. We have before us a photograph of a woman doing exactly that, having purchased this field and getting it prepared to plant. The husband is not available. He's with the flocks in a distant place doing his job. She's got to manage those affairs. And Lemuel's mother is telling him, you need to find a woman who can handle the family business responsibly. And that's what's being described here. This woman, she's not afraid to consider a field and buy it. And then with the profits, plant a vineyard. That's the kind of woman Lemuel's mother is telling him that she needs. And that's the kind of woman that he needs. And that's the kind of woman that'll make him a better man. Then our last one for the day. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She's prepared to do the work. She's prepared to do hard work. Having grown up in a farming community, it's somewhat funny to me to see a television show or maybe a photograph on a magazine that depicts a woman working in the field or working on a farm, and it'll depict her with her hair all perfectly combed in a beautiful dress, and not at all what is reality. A woman that is prepared to work might look something more like this woman here, with heavy work clothes, hair tied up, not really ready for a photograph necessarily, but ready for work. Her arms are strong. She has dressed herself for the occasion. If you're going to be a person with a work ethic, you must be a person prepared to work. Wear the right clothes for the work. Bring the right capabilities to the work to be prepared for the work. That's true of whoever you are. That's what it means to have a strong work ethic, to be prepared for that work. So what's our takeaway from these first elements of what Lemuel's mother is telling him? Well, a good wife enjoys hard work. She does it willingly. She grabbed that wool and she did it willingly. A good wife leads. She's the first one to the work. A good wife takes care of the family business. She knows how to responsibly manage the resources of the family. And a good wife's prepared for the work. She's ready for it. Whatever comes her way, she's ready to address it. Thanks for joining us today on Beginning the Word. I hope as you have begun today in the Word of the Lord, you will live out today in the Word of the Lord.